Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Endless Ranting, the show that has the most inconsistent release schedule in all of sports entertainment. I am your host, Hogdale, your fucking boy. And I'm here today, man, because I am feeling inspired because there's been some gigantic changes, a huge shift in Boston sports today. Bill Belichick is gone as the head coach of the New England Patriots. And before I get into anything else talking about Bill Belichick and the terrible job he did the last 5 years, I do want to pay my respects real quick because this dude was the architect to the greatest dynasty that ever existed. He is the reason that Brady was even here in the first place. And I'll have great memories about Bill, man. I mean, my entire life, I grew up in the golden era of Boston sports, and a large reason of that is because of Bill. But it was his time to go. It's sad to say that I'm happy to see him go. I mean, he can go get Shula's record somewhere else. Good for him. But I cannot say I'm super sad to see him go because the Patriots have been basically just rudderless these last 5 years. They have not been a competitive football team. Sure, they had a couple playoff appearances in there, but how legitimate are those playoff appearances when you get blown the fuck out by Buffalo in consecutive years? So you were never close to sniffing a Super Bowl, and the drafting has just been horrendous. It's insane how every single year in the draft there were like 5 or 6 dead on can't miss receivers, and Bill still found a way to somehow not draft a single fucking one of them. It really was impressive. So I am both happy and sad to see Bill go. Sad because it's the end of an era, but also happy because it's the ending of an era. Or is it? Because the Patriots are looking for a new head coach now. And reports are coming out that it looks like Gerard Mayo is the leading candidate. It could be him. It could be Mike Vrabel. And the biggest reason I wanted to drop this episode is to put out a cautionary warning to the New England Patriots that hiring Gerard Mayo or like even hiring a guy like a Mike Vrabel would be a mistake. Like I could take Mike Vrabel. I think he would be a good coach here. I think he'd do a good job and he has more experience than Mayo and I trust that he can run a football team. I think hiring Gerard Mayo would be a very big mistake because when you're firing Bill Belichick, what you're signaling is that you want to move on, is that you want to, move on to the next era of Patriot football. And what you're doing when you're hiring Gerard Mayo is you're basically hiring the diet version of Bill Belichick, maybe even the diet caffeine-free version of Bill Belichick. Because no matter what happens, no matter if Mayo gets the coaching job, even if Vrabel gets the coaching job, defensively, you're going to take a step back. You're going to take a step back. The team's defense was phenomenal like the entire year, even after all of our stars got hurt. That's because of the system that Bill had in place. No one is going to be able to point players where to go and tell them where to be better than Bill Belichick. He's the best defensive coach I've ever seen. No one knew how to put players in a structure to fit their skill sets perfectly better than Bill Belichick. So if you're hiring a defensive-minded guy, one, and then two, a guy that comes from his tree, you're basically going to have him come in and then run his system not as good as he can. So you're going to take a step back defensively. And offensively, this team is a zero. Black hole. No talent whatsoever. Completely decrepit. I was having conversations earlier today with some other Patriot fans in that really GM is a much more important hire than head coach right now just because of how much of a void there is with offensive skill position talent across the board. It's a zero. Like if it was up to me, the Patriots would go out there and they would hire an offensive-minded head coach. You go out there and get a young guy who has a lot of creativity and has a completely different mindset. We need new ideas brought into this organization. Belichick's ideas on roster construction and how to build a team are antiquated and outdated. They don't work anymore. Or if they did work, he did such a poor job drafting to execute that team building that it didn't even matter. So to me, you need to move on from the way that Belichick did things. If you're hiring Gerard Mayo, what you're essentially doing is you're desperately clinging on to this idea of the Patriot way that was there in the past. And everyone should have realized this already. If you haven't already, the Patriot way died the second that Tom Brady exited this organization. And there's some people who are going to push back on that. And I get it. You want to be loyal to Bill. Bill's a great guy. He was the architect of the dynasty. 100% valid point in that regard. Dude, the second Brady left, the second Brady left. You had dudes bitching to the media. You had guys making excuses. You had guys just straight up shitting on coaches in the press. You had guys dogging it in game. It's stuff that it never would have flown when Brady was there, man. It's like that stuff would have gotten you executed by firing squad if Brady was still here, and they were doing it consistently. The Patriot way died the second that Brady left. Let's not kid ourselves, man. Like Belichick, like maybe he had like the ideas of the Patriot way, but Brady, like his on-field execution of all those principles is what set the example for everyone else to follow it. So that's why the Patriot way worked. Without Brady, the Patriot way just straight up malfunctions. It does not work. So if you think you have this great culture, you don't. The culture's dead. The culture for the last 4 or 5 years has been mediocrity and fucking losing at the highest level. So let's not kid ourselves with that. To me, like I can tolerate Vrabel because I think Vrabel like is a really good motivator. I think his guys play really, really hard for him. But like to me, you should be going after a guy like a Ben Johnson, or just you need to be thinking outside the box. You need to be thinking out of the New England Patriot roots. You should not be getting a guy who's intimately familiar with how we do things here. You should be trying to change how we do things here. Because if you wanted to just keep doing things the way they were, you should have kept Bill. What you're going to do by hiring like Gerard Mayo is you're going to be trying to do things the way Bill did it, but worse. You're going to be executing it at a worse level. You're not going to be able to run the defense better than he did. Having that baseline understanding, the defense is going to take a step back. You need to make a fundamental shift on how we do things. We have some talent on defense. We have zero talent on offense. You need an offensive guy to start to, piece together the offense and to start rebuilding the offense from the shambles that is now. So yeah, man, I mean, that's really my big takeaway here is like, Patriots, be careful. Hiring Gerard Mayo or even hiring a Mike Vrabel, you might be walking yourself into another half decade of aimlessness and mediocrity. You really need to nail the GM hire, though, man. And the main reason you need to hire a good GM here is because it's like I said earlier, the offense has no talent, and they need a quarterback. They have a top 3 pick, and they need a quarterback. And are the Bears willing to trade that pick? Because I had this conversation earlier with some guys in noted biggest chat in all of Patriots fandom, Pat's chat. If the Bears are willing to trade the number 1 pick, and whoever talent evaluator we have in here feels like our franchise quarterback is in this draft, I do not give a single fuck what you have to give up. Mortgage any and all future to get that pick. Any future you need to mortgage to get the pick because you need a franchise quarterback. I've seen people make the argument like, we can't draft a quarterback this draft because you need to lay the foundation for the quarterback. You can't just get the quarterback first. You have to make it a good situation for him. Ideally, you have a good situation already for your quarterback, obviously. That would make things much easier and it makes their development better. But my counterpoint to this would be, if your franchise quarterback is truly a franchise quarterback, it does not matter what incompetence is around them. It doesn't. They'll succeed, at least on an individual level, at least with their talent on an individual level. When you're watching them, they will succeed. Look at Justin Herbert. The Chargers are a fucking mess. They're a joke. But you see Justin Herbert and you see his individual talent. You know that he's super good and that he just needs the pieces around him. But at minimum, you know how good he is. For years, like the higher end franchise quarterbacks, like Brady, like Manning, like Breeze, like any years where their team had an incompetent roster around them, they were fine because they were him. Like he is him. Andrew Luck, terrible, dog shit fucking franchise. It burned him out super quick, and that's why he retired early. But he dragged that team to the playoffs multiple times over because he was that special talent. You will be able to tell if your quarterback is a franchise quarterback within a year or two because they will find a way to swim. They won't sink. They will find a way to swim. That's how you know Mac isn't the guy. That's how you know, the people said Zappy was a guy for a week or two. That's how you know, no, he's not the guy. If every single thing has to be perfect around your quarterback to make him succeed, he's not a franchise quarterback. If he needs those things to prop him up, he's a good system quarterback. Right now, Brock Purdy is a very good system quarterback. He's not the system. He's not the franchise quarterback there. I like Brock Purdy a lot. He has some talent. He's not a top 10 quarterback, though, obviously. When you look at like Tua's good. I think Tua's like a top 15 quarterback in the league. Is he like a force multiplier that elevates people around him? I mean, from what we saw without Tyreek, no. With Tyreek, though, he's like the best version of a system quarterback because they give him a system and he runs it at a very high level. So he's a very high level system quarterback. But without a Tyreek Hill or a Jalen Waddle around him, he wouldn't be able to elevate a squad. And you're like, yeah, the easy retort to that would be, yeah, well, franchise quarterbacks don't just grow on trees. My point exactly. You have a top 3 pick. You have the ammo to move up in the draft if you can. If Caleb Williams is what they bill him to be, you trade the next fucking 3 drafts for him and you don't blink an eye. If he's as good as people say he is, if he is bona fide franchise quarterback, for 15 years, your franchise is at bare minimum watchable. Bare minimum. And within 5 years, you should be like a playoff team, if not a serious contender, barring you don't have Cleveland Brown levels of mismanagement for decades. Get the quarterback right. If there's one position in the entire league you have to get right, it's the quarterback. You cannot fuck the quarterback up. I understand, like, back in the day, teams used to be able to win just to strength on defense and, don't have to rely on their quarterback at the end. Dude, it's in the modern NFL, you either have a quarterback or you're fucked. It really is that. Like, the exception is, like, the Niners with Brock Purdy. But they have, like, a top 3 defense and a top 3 offense with their skill position players. They have, like, fucking 4 all-pros on their offense. That's the exception, not the rule. You need a franchise quarterback. If you have the ability to get a franchise quarterback, move heaven and earth to do it. And listen, if they don't like Caleb, then don't do it. But I will never, ever, ever blame a team for mortgaging the future in the draft for a dude you think is your franchise quarterback. Because it's a have and have not class. You need to have one. So listen, that to me, that is priority number 1 this offseason. Like, after you get your GM, figure out the quarterback situation because Mac ain't it, Zappy ain't it. It's very funny that Patriot fans, we've been the coping, just so much coping being done this year about like the actual quality of the team. It's just a terrible team. It's dog shit team. So terrible on offense. It's the worst offensive team I ever saw. I remember because I watched every one of these games with my dad sitting on the couch. On 5 or 6 occasions this year, I was watching the game. I'm like, Dad, I think this is the worst football game I've ever seen played. And my dad's like, you know what? I think you're right. And then again, it happened like 4 or 5 more times. And then my dad's like, you say that almost every week. And I'm like, I do say it almost every week. Have I been wrong yet? No? God damn, this team's in a fucking state. So listen, man, in terms of like what you need to do to change for the future, get your GM right, get your quarterback right. And obviously, like, move in a different direction from Bill. Move in a different direction. You're not going to replicate the success that Bill had. What he had was different. What he had was special. It's not replicable, man. They think it's more replicable than getting another Brady. And, in a way, getting a good coach is easier to do than getting another top 3 quarterback of all time. But to me, it's just as irreplicable. No coach in the league right now is going to have Bill's know-how defensively. It's just not going to happen, man. He's the best scheme defensive coach of all time. No one schemes up a better defense than him. We were on our fucking 5th and 6th string quarterbacks this year. Defense was still shutting dudes down. Didn't matter. That's Belichick's scheme. Mayo's not going to be able to replicate that scheme. Vrabel is not going to be able to replicate that scheme. You're going to take a step back defensively. Take this chance to reinvent your franchise. Move in a completely different direction. It's crucial. It is crucial that you do that now because otherwise you have the potential to be locked into mediocrity for the next 10 years. A decade. I've already wasted a half decade watching this fucking mediocre garbage. I'd rather not waste another decade. That being said, man, I mean, If they go with Vrabel, I think it'd be a mild disappointment. I think they should take the direction to do something else, but I can live with Vrabel. Make sure to get the GM above him right and get the quarterback right. That's what matters. And listen, like, say they get Vrabel and Vrabel has, I mean, he's had success having a younger offensive coordinator to call his scheme. I mean, obviously, like LaFleur came from his system, and he's done a great job in Green Bay. So if he can find a guy like that to be his OC, I can accept Vrabel. Just don't do Gerard Mayo. If you're gonna do Gerard Mayo, you should be doing Mike Vrabel, because Mike Vrabel is like Gerard Mayo with more head coaching experience and a more proven track record. That's just my take on the matter. I'm gonna move forward to some baseball here. Before I get into some Red Sox, I just wanted to talk about this Ken Rosenthal article that I thought was very funny. Ken Rosenthal, he had a article basically saying, like, hey guys, if you have these young guys that you're gonna throw these gigantic contracts at, you got to be careful. And this is in regards to Wander Franco, which I think is extremely humorous. Like the potential risk assessment of handing a guy now is he a pedophile? Like the idea that when the Red Sox are about to give Tristan Cassis an extension, that they're going to go to Tristan Cassis' hometown and go to it's like, okay guys, here's what we're going to do. Go to his local middle school. Ask around. Is he a creep? Has he been grooming and taking advantage of middle schoolers? We need to get the scouting report here. Has he groomed any middle schoolers? And that's what we need to do now. Is so funny to me. Like, this is not going to prevent teams from giving young guys contracts. One guy being a fucking creep and a loser is not going to stop MLB teams from betting on their young guys, because it's the smarter play. Contract-wise, you have way more upside than downside with it. Look at the Braves with almost all of their contracts. The contracts they have Ozzy Albies on right now is a fucking crime against humanity. The contract they have Acuna on is a fucking crime against humanity. It's just, it makes way more sense for major league teams to pay the young guys instead of paying these 30-year-olds in free agency. They figured that out. That's the market efficiency right now. And the idea that Wander Franco being a fucking serial creep is going to stop these teams from handing out these big salaries to their young phenoms, I think is extremely funny. Like, yeah, man, we're just going to go scout the local middle schools to see if fucking our young guy has groomed them. Come on. Come on, man. Oh, God. Let me move on to the Red Sox. The other reason I fucking wanted to make this podcast is that there's a lot of hubbub, a lot of hoopla, some would say, about the Boston Red Sox right now. Mainly because they are operating like they are the Minnesota Twins or some other mid-market team, like they're the Seattle Mariners. And Red Sox fans are upset about it. And they have every right to be upset about it, because the Red Sox have the most expensive in-ballpark experience in the league. They're also the third most valuable franchise in the league. So they expect the bare minimum of reinvesting into the fucking product that you are price gouging us out of our ass for. But the most recent thing about this is winter weekend is coming up and ownership is not going to be there. Some would say cowardly. Some would say doesn't want to face the consequences of their own actions. Those people would be 100% correct. It's a gutless move. It's cowardly. And also completely unsurprising. Completely unsurprising. Of course, John Henry doesn't give a fuck about any one of the fans, man. We are all walking dollar signs for him. That is all we are to him. And listen, I will put this out for every single Red Sox fan out there. If you feel like the Boston Red Sox at the highest level don't care about winning, if you feel like they don't give a shit and putting their money into the team, I implore all of you, don't spend money on them. Don't watch games. Do not put your money in their pockets. That's the way things change here. And I've seen some people say that it won't make a difference and that they won't notice. You people don't understand how these billionaires operate. They're greedy at the highest level. So if their profit margin decreases by 20%, they will change. They will make a change, because these guys are soulless. They don't give a shit. They won't stick up for some of their principle. All they care about is money. They feel like they don't need to invest in the team to make the fan base interested in the team. Prove them that that's not true. Don't watch the games. They will change. If the profit margin gets hit, they will change. That's how things work, man. They don't operate emotionally. They operate purely on profit motive. If they see that it is more profitable to invest in the team and that it will make more people interested, they will invest in the team. Right now, they are under the assumption that if they don't invest in the team, that the fans are stupid enough that they will still watch. I have more faith in all of Red Sox fans than they do. I have faith they won't watch. I remember like last year, as soon as they were out of the wild card, Fenway was empty. Empty. That Red Sox-Yankee series at the end of the year, where there's just like more Yankee fans than Red Sox fans, and there were hundreds of thousands of empty seats. It was embarrassing. Complete fucking joke. It embarrassed the Red Sox brass enough that seems like it's the thing that finally got Chaim Bloom fired. If that's happening the entire year, they will change. I am telling you, they will change. People say that they don't matter. You don't understand how these guys work. They don't have souls. They don't care about anything but profit motive. If they see the profit motive as being hit, they will invest in the team. So yeah, man, that's I implore everyone, do not watch games. Do not spend money on the team if they refuse to invest money into the team. They need to put the money that they are gouging us for into the team for us to care. That should be how it works. Listen, man, I'm unlucky enough. I have to watch all these fucking games because I have a podcast and I'm going to be like, I got to cover them. So the entire year I'll be like watching these games. And it bums me out because for 2 years now, consistently I just have had my time wasted. Right now, it looks like I'm prepping to have another year of my life wasted. And the games it's going to be fucking soul crushing watching these. Because I don't do fucking this shit for money. I do it for the love of the craft. I usually have fun doing it. At the end of last year, brother, I was struggling. Team fucking stunk. They underperformed a lot of my expectations. There were still things to watch the team for. But at the end of the day, man, if they're going to go another year where they don't give a fuck about winning, like, why should people care? You shouldn't care. In Boston sports, you should be held to a high standard. The standard is we're trying to fucking win here. If you don't want to win, sell the team. We don't give a shit. And yeah, people say that's naive. Okay, fine. I don't give a fuck, man. I'm watching the games to see my team build to win the next championship. Sorry the fan wants to see that their team compete to win their next championship. Fucking shame on me. Shame on all of us, man. Give me a break. You stand there on your high horse about how dare you? I asked the billionaire to fucking reinvest the money that he's making hand over fist on the rest of us into his team. Just give me a break. So yeah, man, go out there. Don't spend your money. If you want to watch the team vicariously, but don't want to spend money on them, watch podcasts. Go watch like a Carabas. Go watch Pod by the River, the pod that I'm on, and you can hear like the latest updates on the team. Or you could do other means that I won't say for fear of legal stuff on here to watch the team. Don't put your money in them. Do not invest your money in the Boston Red Sox till you feel like they will invest money into the team that we all love. I've spent my entire life watching the Sox. I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm going to be I'll be talking about it for most of the year. But I got to say, man, fan interest. And right now, I'm not super excited about the season right now for this reason. Because they don't give a fuck. And it bums me out they don't give a fuck. Because me and tons of other Red Sox fans care so much. So hopefully we could change things. If they don't reinvest, make them. Fucking make them. Hold their balls to the fire. Don't let them get away with it. And yeah, man, I think that'll do it for me today. I got everything that I wanted to talk about out of the way. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Endless Ranting. You guys are the best. Anyone who listens to this. Follow me on Twitter at Hogdale_. Follow my Red Sox podcast that I do with my friend Ed Hand, who is at EdHand89, and Ryan Brady, who is I can't remember his Twitter handle, LMAO. Yeah, man, just at Pod by the River. And if you want to hear our thoughts there, we record weekly. Thank you all so much for listening. All of you were amazing. I hope for a better future for Boston sports because we're in a bit of a dark period right now outside of the Celtics. And the Bruins are doing good too, but I'm not a big Bruins fan. So, hey, have yourselves a great night and bye.